Aloha, beloveds. Christine here. It felt like it was time to come to you again with an energy update. Some trends and things I'm noticing in the people that I work with and in the collective, and that always play out in their own version in my life as well. So, first of all, loss. Many people have gone through many types, phases, experiences of loss. And the first thing I would love to do with that is to honor that as our human experience, and to know that when we experience loss, a loss of a beloved, a loss of a relationship as we knew it, a loss of a way of life, a loss of a sense of security in something that we thought was reliable, a loss in our world as we knew it. It's important that we tend to that with our loving presence, that we not skip over the fact, that we not do our bypassing into what our infinite being knows, which is that all is for our good, or all is unfolding in perfect timing and in the plan, that we actually really honor the human experience of loss. And for me, I've had so much of this lately, and in so many different realms and in different ways. Relationships precious to me that will never be the same again, or that aren't. Objects that I found myself attached to. The one piece of jewelry that I had paid more for than anything that I'd ever bought for myself, that was symbolic of a union that I feel with the place where I live, lost. Swimming with dolphins in the water, a regulation has come, and we can no longer do that. Our clear blue air here in the sky is gone from the current eruption of a volcano, so there's the loss of that pristine environment. And this is just a beginning, for just in my life, and a dear family member in hospice. So many things shifting and changing. And one thing that I know when we experience loss is that there is a deep excavation of whatever those energy patterns in us were, how those relationships interfaced in our lives, even my own sense of like attachment to something precious to me, whether it's a person or an object or a group of animals. When that is in an experience of loss, there is a creation of a space of pure potential that is quite profound and ripe. And my awareness is that this never happens randomly, and it never happens without deep possibility of gifting for us in our lives. Loss is part of the human condition. It's part of the experience that we have here. You don't need me to tell you that. You're having, either now or have or will, having your own versions of that. So if we could take a moment together to acknowledge, I feel your hearts, acknowledge and honor the losses that you have gone through or are going through, before we acknowledge that there's a beautiful, ripe potential in that new, pristine, open space, that we honor, that we grieve and are sad when we lose things. So that's first today in the energy update. As I've given you examples in my life, and those are just a tiny fraction of what I'm seeing and experiencing in the lives of people around me. Honoring the loss, honoring grief, honoring our deep capacity to love that which is dear to us, honoring. And the second part of what I'd like to speak into today is a very deep, I would call it almost like a backsliding or forgetting that I'm seeing among a lot of really conscious people. So in a profound awareness and consciousness, we know that we are always active participators and creators of whatever reality we are experiencing, and that at some level we are in it by choice. And the way that I say we can always acknowledge this, or the way how that shows itself to me, is that that is an empowering affirmation as of our power as creators. We do not while we do come in with free will, and others around us have free will, we are not just simply a creation that is buffeted about by all manner of powers that are greater than we are. So what I'm seeing a lot of lately is people feeling that many external powers are greater than them or are somehow victimizing them. And I understand why, because there are very real events underway that impact us. However, when we assign a dualistic meaning to that of being wronged by the bad guys, even of this nature of spiritual warfare of dark and light, is foundationally dualistic. And the reason I want to speak into this is because that dualism and that setting against is a construct and an expression and creation of the human egoic framework of mind and separation. No matter if it is for the most noble cause and urge, when we make the other the wrong, or the perpetrator, or the bad, that is essentially an egoic posture. That is a posture of our separative mind. Again, I totally understand why we do this. It's because we want to protect ourselves and others from pain and suffering. My suggestion here is that we usher ourselves into inevitable pain and suffering when we go that route. So what's another possibility or another way? The heart space, the space of consciousness born of unconditional love, is without judgment and without duality. It is fully embracing of polarities, of differences, but it does not move itself into a posture of duality and polarity. This heart space recognizes the truth beyond the appearance, which includes an affirmation of our deepest power as creator consciousness and our participation in the unfolding. Many times this requires a longer view. So if things in the world right now are not as you would wish them to be, and you feel, probably if you're listening to this conversation, called to participate in some way as an agent for ascension or a lightworker or whatever word you want to give that, a secret weapon, well, there's that word again, a secret agent for love, for unconditional love, for the recognition of the wholeness and the love that we all are. Another option is to realize that not everything is accomplished in a single lifetime. So that as you are here doing your part, it's integral and it's vital. And it is meaningful at the level, meaning that you are aligned with it and following your calling of soul and spirit into the expression and your choices. And it doesn't mean that we may see a neat and tidy outcome with a bow on the end by the end of this lifetime. Much like stonemasons who built beautiful cathedrals in the medieval and Renaissance time, they worked their entire lifetime knowing that they would be part of a span of several hundred years of a project. What I look at in consciousness unfolding on this planet now, this is a span of thousands of years. And we're in the midst of a particularly potent cycle where ascension is happening. It is unfolding. Vibration is raising. Consciousness is raising. And any energies that are interested in either maintaining or status quo or suppressing the arising of this beautiful consciousness will be in full engagement. And when we move into making that wrong and feeling that we are being, that something has power over us, that we end up being powerless, or we feel like, what can we do? Or we don't have choice, or we don't have freedom. We are literally adding our consciousness to that particular trajectory of expression. So another option is to return to what you know. And now this is in the middle and recognition of loss that we experience humanly. You see the conundrum? It is that experience of loss or pain that frequently moves us to assign the meaning that is the meanings that are in this dualistic consciousness. So another option is to simply disengage and remember what you are and return to that center of presence, wherever that is for you. That is an observer consciousness, watching what's happening. That is a space of unconditional love without agenda or judgment or requirement or even opinion. How often can you tap into, let's do it together right now, that vibrational stream and dimension of unconditional love where all simply is. And we remember the power that all is, including us, in the unified awareness of heart-centered consciousness of unconditional love. And we be in this, and we steep in this, and we remember this. Such a celebration and homecoming for the heart, isn't it? I feel you. I understand. I have to remind myself frequently in today's climate in this world of the sovereign power of creator consciousness and love that I am, and that I'm participating by choice, and that my presence here is needed and important, and this is all true for all of us. And that in what I choose to say and how, and to think, and to express, creates. And am I creating with my thoughts and my expressions and a deeper experience of the unified field within me, or of the separative dualistic field? It's easy to tell because one is the former is very peaceful and open and spacious and clear. And the second is uncomfortable. Beautiful. Currently, I have an amazing special offer through Beyond the Ordinary. If you are interested in receiving support for any of these things, there's the Pure Potential series, absolute energy activations of every dimensional awareness within you. Huge, powerful energy activations, 9 days of them. And the Transcending Ego video class. This is about ego, this separative urge, and this urge of forgetting our consciousness and all of these things that we know. It's the egoic platform within us that's kind of coming back yet again, collectively and individually, for its greater grip on that status quo of separation. Of course it is. It's fighting for its own survival. It just would like to continue. What doesn't? And we actually have another plan. I do. I feel there's another energy underway. I feel there's a different creation. That heart-centered, unconditionally loving, it's what many people refer to as 5D consciousness. It is living in the divine heart. No longer prey to our own egoic urges. So that Transcending Ego class is there as well as an entire month of energy support. So it's there if it calls to you. And no matter when you're listening to this video or when you see it and when it speaks to you and what you take from it or leave the rest, however that works, my deepest prayer and intention is for it to be blessing and for us to recognize in a mass global brilliant awakening our own freedom and sovereignty to wake up from the dream, to wake up from the mass hypnosis that leaves us so vulnerable to persuasion and being panicked into not feeling safe or threatened, or that scarcity of duality. There's never enough in the dualistic framework. There's always those that go with and those that go without. There is another narrative. There is another choice. There is another dimension that we already live in. And this is the space of our infinite transcendent hearts, of the truth of our being and our knowing, of the love that we are. Thanks for tuning in, for allowing me to share my heart with yours, for this precious time together. And I cheer us all on. I know the task is big. I know the asks of each of us in our lives are significant. And I know that we are more than up for every task that we see before us. The reason it shows up now is because we're ready. So with you, in love from my heart to yours. So much love and aloha.